So today is the day, ladies. This is your last day, your last hours to register for tonight's masterclass, staying positive and hopeful while waiting for love. So I need you to run over to my pillar link and register right now. We will be getting started at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you soon.
Hey. All right, it is early this morning. It's 8:05. I cannot believe I'm pulling out of the driveway this early. That in and of itself, I deserve a medal, okay? Because I was bent on being super, super early because I got to stop and get something to eat. And I'm actually going to show up super early to the office and like get my mind right, get my head in the game, the whole nine. So if you're up this early, thank you. Good morning. All right, but it's very bright and sunny, so I'm going to hope that the sun does not hit my eyes. But I wanted to come on this morning. Yeah, this sun is out here. I wanted to come on this morning, and I wanted to offer up. I get asked quite a bit, either through DM, through email. I get asked quite a bit about solutions. And I have offered up solutions before. Advice and solutions beyond theory, beyond the theoretical, okay, I've never lived through this, I've never experienced this type of approach that a lot of young people do. A lot of the young people out here, they want to give advice and solutions based on theory. Like they've never lived it, they've never experienced it, so they're just taking a stab in the wind. I actually want to give my thoughts and solutions on our relationship problems. Good morning. I'm going to speak specifically to our community. I'm going to speak specifically to the Black community. These solutions apply to everyone. They apply to everyone, but I am going to specifically speak to our community because our community finds itself in a situation where the majority of our people are already traumatized. We have already, by default, lived through a lot of hard things. We have lived through violence. We have lived through racism or bigotry. We have lived through single-parent homes. We have lived through not even having a single parent home, being raised by a grandparent or an aunt, abandonment. Like we have lived through things that other races of people have not. And so a big part of our problem is our trauma. The things we have lived through. Okay, and I'm not even going to necessarily call it like, some people talk about the trauma from slavery. Some people talk about the trauma from way back, like slavery and before. I'm not even going to bring that into this conversation. Okay, I'm not even going to go that far back. I'm talking about your mama, your daddy, your grandma, your granddaddy. That's it. Okay, and many of you on here, including myself, I'm a Gen Xer. My mama, my daddy wasn't a slave. My grandmama, my granddaddy wasn't a slave. Okay, so we're not going to go that far back. We just going to talk about like 2 generations. Okay, we've experienced a good amount of trauma. We've experienced a good amount of negative feelings and just things that we've had to endure. And because Black men and Black women, they have that history. That is actually what bonds a lot of Black men and Black women to each other, is that history that they share. And honestly, that's a lot of reason why Black women predominantly want a Black man. A lot of Black women will not, date men of other races. They will not explore men of other ethnicities. There is almost like a toxic loyalty to Black men. Like we've gone through this together. We have this similar background and this similar experience, so we should be together. Like, who else would understand that but us? A lot of us have that mindset. A lot of us have that thinking. Okay. Good day. Okay. So because of that, we need solutions. We need very specific solutions to our situation. So the first solution I'm going to offer up is, as a clinician, I'm going to offer up the solution of dialectical behavioral therapy. A lot of African American people, they need dialectical behavioral therapy. What does that mean? That means that a lot of them struggle with their emotions. A lot of them struggle with and or thinking. They really struggle with the thinking, the mindset of two things. So dialectical therapy says two things which appear to be opposite can both be true. Okay? They struggle with judgment, the judging of themselves and the judging of others. They struggle with empathy for themselves and for others. They struggle with self-compassion. All of these things are part of the trauma response. So not only do they not have compassion for others, do they not have empathy for others, they don't have empathy for themselves. There is the judging of themselves. There is the self-hate, okay, and the lack of empathy and the lack of radical acceptance. A lot of African American people struggle to radically accept themselves. And honestly, now y'all really not gonna like this. That is why we are seeing women, change their appearance, do all this stuff to their appearance. There is no radical acceptance there. That the appearance of them, of Black women, it changes with whatever year, whatever century we're in, whatever decade we're in. They don't radically accept themselves. They let other people outside of them tell them what beauty is or how they should look or whatever. There is no radical acceptance. When I cut all my hair off, when I had 2 inches of hair, that's when I radically accepted myself. From that day forward, I decided I was going to radically accept myself. But we struggle with that. Okay? So, dialectical behavioral therapy. I believe every African American person should probably have that because they have some form of trauma. They have some form of abuse or neglect or abandonment or something going on. And they really need to sit down with someone and go through. There probably should be DBT groups. Like, you probably need a DBT clinician having DBT groups. But a lot of us struggle with managing our emotions. A lot of us struggle with ego. A lot of us struggle with getting into wise mind. That's what DBT is all about. We struggle with balancing between the logical mind, the fact-based mind, and the emotions mind, the feelings mind. Because again, we want to believe that one is better than the other. So the women believe that their emotions and their feelings are valid and better, and the men want to believe that their logic and their rationale is better. When the reality is, we need both. DBT says that we have to integrate logic and emotion. That is how we come into our wise mind. We need to be in our wise mind. We need to learn how to self-soothe. We need to learn how to self-regulate. We need to learn how to co-regulate. We need to learn how to regulate with other people. But that would be the first thing I would suggest, is we start a whole lot of DBT groups. We have a bunch of clinicians that literally walk our people through the tools and the techniques of DBT therapy. Most of us need it. Most of us need to learn how, to regulate ourselves, okay, and how to process through the trauma that we've been through. That's most of us. All right, so that's the first order of business, because right now we're in this gender war that says, there's a lot of blame. And remember, when we perceive blame, because sometimes the other person isn't blaming, they're simply explaining. They're explaining, well, men have left a lot of their homes, they're not there to raise their children. See, when you perceive that as blame, that's not blame. That's called an explanation. That's called, yes, that is true for a percentage of people. It's not blame. It's called explaining. But when you perceive it as blame, you're letting people know there's a wound there. There's a trauma there because someone stating a statistical fact of, what is it? I think it's like up to 76, 75, 73%, somewhere in there. Somewhere 70 something percent of African American children are growing up in a home with one parent. Like when we state that statistical fact and another person responds with blame, that's their trauma. That's them right there, right in that moment. There. Oh, so what you blaming black men? You blaming black men? No, we're stating a statistical fact. Remember, we need logic and emotion. And in that moment, that is a fact of our family system. A lot of our children are growing up in single parent households. Okay. But the fact that you're responding with blame, you're responding with feeling judged, that says a lot. That says a lot because it's not, it just is, right? It just is. So we got to be willing to check ourselves. We got to be willing to check ourselves in that way that says, okay, let me listen. But we struggle with listening. We struggle with empathy. These are just some of the things that I see every day, all day when I'm online or when I'm, creating content, that there are just some basic tenets that we're going to need in order to heal our relationships and heal our community that a lot of us just don't have. We just don't have the ability to put ourselves in the shoes of others. Okay, I got a comment I just pulled over. Okay. Yeah, 70%. Yep. I saw this coming in the 90s. Us women wanted to love our men in our 20s, but they wanted to juggle multiple women and explored our emotions and feelings for them. And women got tired of it. So that's how relationships became transactional. And here's what I'm going to say to that. Again, we're going to a place of, they started it, right? When the reality is we're all playing a part. We're still going to a place of they started it. No, we all play a part. And this is the only part that I'm going to step out of the box I just put myself in. I'm going to step out of the box I just put myself in. This is the only time I'm going to do that. Is because of the nature of our country and its history and the racial dynamic. We're not going to sit here and act like other people didn't have a part in it too. Okay? Other people played a part in it too. Other people kind of slipped in between black men and black women, and they play a part in it too. like let's not do that. Okay, let's not say that black people were doing just fine and everything was going great. And no, other people outside of us had something to do with it. Okay, now if we could collectively acknowledge that and then work on ourselves, like I acknowledge it and then I move on. I acknowledge that, yes, that played a role, that had something to do with it, and now I need to move on. Okay, I can't stay in blame forever. I have to acknowledge it and move on. All right, but we're all playing a part right now. It's not just men and it's not just women. That's what dialectical thinking is. It says and or both. Both things are true. Both things are true. I see it from the side of women. I see women's hurt. I see women's wounds. I see women's disappointments. I see women's anger. I see women's frustration. And they're lashing out. And then I see men and they're, inability to hold space, their inability to validate, their inability to be empathetic or compassionate, their harshness. Okay, I see men's hurt. I see men's wounds. I see men's frustration. I see men's pain from their past. And it all just comes rushing out, rushing onto the field to just tackle each other. That's it. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. So we need that DBT therapy. I'm going to end it right. We need that DBT therapy. We need to desexualize our brains, and that's men and women. We have got to detox from the sexualization of our brain. We've got to leave certain things alone. We've got to leave pornography alone. We've got to dress more modestly as women and men. We've got to keep our legs closed longer. We've got to stop leading with sexuality. We've got to just desexualize our brain. We've got to leave certain music alone. Okay? We have got to desexualize ourselves and our brains and stop making everything about sex. Sex is an amazing, beautiful thing that God created, and y'all are destroying it. Y'all are ruining it. So much so, this is what's funny, y'all are destroying sex so much so that people in marriage don't even have it. Like the one place, the one healthy container that you can have sex, y'all don't have sex in marriage. That's how y'all have destroyed sex. People who are married are not having sex. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a real problem. So we have to desexualize and reprogram our brain. We have to lay down substances. Substances are simply a numbing agent. Y'all gonna have to excuse my voice. I've been struggling all morning with my voice. I feel fine, but my voice is struggling. But we have to lay down substances. And just because marijuana is legal, I don't care. It is a numbing agent. It is simply a distraction. It's simply something to numb your feelings. We need to feel our feelings. We need to feel the depth and the breadth of our feelings now more than ever. But you got to lay down the substances. You got to lay down the marijuana smoking. You got to lay down the hard liquor and the drinking. You got to lay down, any form of substances that you're using, because all it's doing is numbing you. Prescription drugs. Ooh, y'all really not going to like this. You got to lay down the antidepressants. You got to lay down the anti-anxiety medication. I'm going to make some people mad on here. But you're simply operating in a numb middle state. You can't feel your feelings. You can't feel the highs and the lows. You're just numb. But we have to lay down the substances. Okay, let me see. What other men got for free, others need to sacrifice themselves more to get it. Okay, like I said, we just got to lay down. Being a part of a mental health organization, I see everything you're saying. Yep. The DJ Raw. Yep. Good. I'm glad. It's so disheartening to still see men leading with sex at damn near 50 when you specifically state you're seeking a relationship that will lead to marriage. Yeah. But there's women allowing it. There's women doing it. Yeah. There's women doing it. Like I said, I see both sides of that coin. I see women, wanting, money and wanting trips and wanting this and wanting that. And so, yeah, it's modern day prostitution out here. That's what y'all are doing. Yeah, if you do this, I'll do that. If you buy me this, I'll give you that. So, like I said, everyone is playing a role. We cannot blame it on one side or the other. All of us are playing a role. That's why I've long put down my shield, my sword. I've long taken off my armor. I refuse to fight. I refuse to get into this war. I will not participate. It's a narrative that obliterates. It makes sense, but it's from a debased mind, not to have convictions that are sound and please God. Okay, he said, I'm glad I hopped on. I agree about the numbing agent. Yeah, and y'all, you think just because they made marijuana legal, and then y'all love to talk about how it's nature, it's natural. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Okay. And y'all already know, as a Christian, I can't co-sign it. I won't co-sign it. All right. It's disgusting. God says you're supposed to keep your mind clear. You're supposed to be clear-minded, clear-headed. Okay. And y'all are not clear-minded, getting high every day and smoking no weed. So how you feel about that is how you feel about it. The depraved don't care for themselves or others, and it is transactional under the bondage of the will. But in the freedom of the will, we have peace with God, not seeking vain things or exhausting. I agree. So, yes, we see it in our own families, especially among our young people. Yeah, but y'all have accepted that you want to walk around numb. It's like a painkiller. Instead of feeling your feelings, instead of working through the trauma, you want to get high, you want to get drunk, you want to go out to the bar and the club. And I got married people doing this, and I'm trying to make it make sense. What are you doing? Like, when I ask my married couples, like, I'm confused why you're going out on Friday and Saturday night without your mate and you're staying out till 2:00. How does that support your marriage? It don't. And this is the pushback. Well, I think I deserve to have some me time, or I deserve to hang out with my friends. Why there? I don't disagree with you. You can go on a fishing trip. You can go out to dinner. You can go, bowling. I mean, it's tons of things you can do with your friends to have fun, but you're out at a club or a bar. You're drinking, you're smoking hookah, you're smoking weed. How does that support? Again, I always take it back. Anytime people are telling me some nonsense, how does that support your relationship? How does that improve your relationship? And they get mad because it don't. Because it don't. It don't support the relationship. It doesn't improve the relationship. So come on now. Come on. How can someone work through trauma in conjunction with therapy? So DBT, EMDR, you got lots of great therapies out there. I believe that we need to start having DBT groups for African Americans specifically. We need to have them for men. We need to have them for women. We need to work on our ego. We need to develop more empathy and compassion for one another. Okay, we need to desexualize our brains, keep our legs closed, stay off our back, stay off our knees. We need, and y'all already know this is the number one solution that I got as a devout Christian, is we need God. We need Jesus. We need a Savior. We need to have a foundation, which I believe is God. And we need to uphold and adhere to the Word of God. So I wasn't going to lead this conversation without saying that. Okay? But we have to stop looking at other people and letting other people define what success is for us. And we got to start living within our means. We got to stop blowing our money on dumb-ish. Okay? I got so many solutions. And most people don't like them, don't want them, don't agree with them. But they would genuinely help our community. They would genuinely help us to get back on track. They would genuinely help us to get the Black family back to where it should be and beyond. Now, I'm going to let y'all know, the powers that be, they're not going to like it. They're not going to feel good about it. And if they see people actually implementing this stuff, no, that can't happen. That can't happen. No. Stop it. Okay? That can't happen. Black people are the largest Christian group and yet so dysfunctional. It's because, if I could be so bold, it's because they've turned, the Christian faith into entertainment. It is not about being pious. It's not about being holy. It's not about righteousness anymore. It's about entertainment. Because think about it. Look at all the Christian podcasts. Look at all the Christian YouTube channels. It is no longer about being devout. It is no longer about following God and the will for his will for our life. It's no longer about being obedient. Like, you got Christian podcasters out here having sex outside of marriage. You got Christian podcasters out here living with women, living with men, and having sex outside of marriage. And they feel like, yeah, they can have this podcast. They can tell you about God, tell you about Jesus. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you cannot. Where do you find this kind of therapy? You can go to any therapist that's trained in DBT. The reason why I'm having this live right now is because I am actively going through my training to get certified in DBT. That's how passionate I am about it. Like, I need to start offering groups. I need to start offering this in my practice. Right now, I'm working with couples who are in toxic relationships. I'm using DBT therapy. So I am actually in the process in this moment of getting trained in DBT. Okay. So yeah, we have got to make a change. And here's the thing you need to know. There's going to be a percentage of people, there's going to be a percentage of Black people that don't want no parts of anything I'm talking about. Leave them alone. Leave them behind. I do. I do. I've had friends, I've had family members, I've had loved ones where when I find out what they're on, when I find out what the sickness they want to stay in and the dysfunction they want to continue to facilitate over and over, I leave them alone. There's people right now out there in the world that think I don't exist. They're like, yeah, I don't know what happened to Anita. Anita's just gone. I can't find her nowhere. I can't find her on Facebook. I can't find her. Yeah, because I don't exist to those people. I leave those people alone. And that's the truth. There's going to be a percentage of people that are not going to want to get better. They're not going to want to get healthy. They're too deep in their dysfunction. They're too deep in their toxic lifestyle, but you have to leave them alone. Everybody is not going to be saved. Okay? But you can save yourself. You can save yourself. You can save your family if you can, if they want to be saved. And yeah, that's what I'm going to ask that you do. But even before YouTube, etc., Christians were still dysfunctional, mean-spirited, backbiting. I'm talking about back in the 80s. Yeah, there were a percentage of Christian people, sure. Thank you. He says, keep going. It's sad when you cannot save your own family due to them not caring. Yeah, well, you got to leave them. You got to leave them, right. She said, leave them clean alone. That's it. That's it. And look, when I adopted that saying clean alone, I mean without a trace. Because that's how I leave people. That's how I leave people. People are like, was she even here? Like, did I know Anita? Like, when I say clean alone, people doubt their own existence when I leave them. Like, there's not a trace. There's no residue that I was even there. Okay? That's what I mean when I say that. Okay, so, all right, y'all, I got to run in here and get me something to eat. But there are many more. I'm going to list them below this video. There are many more solutions, and I'm going to list all of them below this video. So when this reposts, please look at all the solutions that I'm listing. Give your thoughts and opinion on it, okay? Give your thoughts and opinion on, okay, yeah, that's a good solution. That's good. And then apply it. Apply the solution. That's all we need to do. Apply the solution. We have the solution. We need to apply it. That's it. But I have plenty of solutions. And when I encourage people like, hey, let's get out here and do this. Let's get out here and do that. Oh, I'm not trying to do that. Oh, that's right. Work on your ego. Let's try to do this there. No, I'm not trying to do that. Okay. It's a whole lot of people out here that want to stay stuck. All right. If you seek to save your own life, you will lose it. But if you deliver yourself up for God's sake, you will find life. The crown of life and righteousness and joy are from Jesus. Yep. Not working through us. I agree. That's why I added that as one of the solutions. God is the solution. Jesus is the solution. Thank you. Okay. So he has to be in the center of it. Just like he has to be in the center of your marriage. Your marriage is only going to be so good without having God and his instruction for your life. Your life is only going to be so good. Okay? He has to be in the center of it. You have to be obedient to the way he tells you to live. And that does not mean that you're not going to have hard times. That does not mean bad things is not going to happen to you. But trust me, I live that life now. And for the most part, when I do things God's way, things work out. Like 90% of the time, like things work out. 10%, 15% of the time, I might have trouble. But 90% of the time, my life is pretty good, pretty uneventful. Okay. All right. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining. Please watch the replay. Remember, at the end of this month, I will no longer have live replays on Instagram. They will only be on YouTube So head over to YouTube, please subscribe and check out the channel. That's where you can see all of the replays of my live. To the ladies, we are a little over 24 hours away from our masterclass tomorrow, Sunday, the 23rd at 7:30 p.m. We have a masterclass for the ladies. Please join me. Go to the link in my bio and register today. I hope it doesn't get sold out by tomorrow, so do not wait till the last minute. I thank you so much for joining me, and as always, stay open to love.